Top speed sprint mechanics, step 3, we're talking about hip flexion. So we got our neutral chin, we got our good sprinting posture. Now step 3, we got to start somewhere, so I'm going to start with hip flexion. So in hip flexion, now we're good, we're in our good posture. I'm not going to stand on my toe here because it's going to be hard to keep balance, but what we're looking for is we keep that rod, and now we're going to come into hip flexion. So that means our hips all the way up. We're trying to get our knees slightly below parallel, and then our toe's going to be up with that, and we're trying to have, if I face you, my toe be directly in line with my knee and my hip. So I don't want to externally rotate. I want to make sure I'm directly in line. Right? If you're having problems with doing that, we certainly have a lot of drills at Simple Speed Coach where we're working on strengthening the hip and getting that toe pointed forward. So toes in a neutral position, hips here. The only way now we can get there is if we have neutral hips. If I'm sticking my butt out, this is as far as I can get my hips. But if I rotate, I'll even do this, I'll rotate, now I have the mobility. So my hip flexors and my hamstrings are normal length, and they can get me where I need to go. I also have to have the core strength to be able to hold my hips there while I drive my knee up. The last thing we'll kind of talk about with this is if I get one hip up and I have the other leg in extension, so I'm here and here, I may not have the mobility in maybe my hamstrings, my hips, whatever it is, and I need to work on that myofascial release stuff, some of the static stretching, some of the foam rolling, deep tissue stuff to work on making and allowing myself to be able to go full into flexion, full into extension, and have that mobility. So that's why, you know, work on that warm up and working some of those corrective exercises are highly important to be able to get our hip and our knee into that flexion so we get to here, and we want to be there so now we have more power. The higher you are, the more force you have going into the ground. And then you get to dictate where and how you want to land. So we want to land slightly in front of our center of gravity as we're going over the top, and we want to hit the ground where all of our force goes backwards, propelling us forwards. So it's efficient. If I can't get there and I just swing my leg, so a lot of people just swing their leg to get there, and they land wherever, they're going to land too far in front. Now they have braking force. They're going to spend a good amount of time on the ground, right? So they're going to be here, and then their body has to go over. They're spending a long time on the ground, and we know that the fastest people in the world spend the least amount of time on the ground. So that all starts with neutral chin, good hips, good posture, and then being able to get our knee all the way up, putting more force in the ground, landing efficiently, and ready to go into that next step where we'll talk about kind of the extension, where we land, and the recovery leg back up.